Paper airplanes. So what a great activity for a fair, even a virtual fair. We'll have to do things a little differently, but we can still look at some interesting airplane designs and learn a little bit about how airplanes fly in the process. We're going to be folding 3 different models. And we've got this basic model, this snub nose model, and this military looking kind of model, okay? And we'll look at these. One of the best things about airplanes is that you only need paper to make them. We will be using rectangular shaped paper for our 3 models. Copier paper is a good size, and that's what I've used for these models. But you can use a page from a magazine or a catalog that is similar in size. As long as the paper isn't too thin. You don't want the paper to be too thin. You might also find it handy to have a pencil close by and a pair of scissors. And sometimes when we fly, I don't know if you can see it, but it's helpful to have a paper clip to use to hold the 2 sides of your wings together, and to maybe change the center of gravity and give it a little bit of a different flight path. But we'll talk more about that at the end after we've made our 3 models. Okay, so let's fold an airplane. We're going to start with a basic model. Many of you probably are familiar with this model. There are lots of variations you can do once you've got this basic model. So it's a really good place to start, okay? So we're going to take a piece of rectangular paper. I've cut my paper in half so it'll fit a little easier on the screen. And I hope you can see what I'm doing here as we fold, okay? I want you to lay your paper out in front of you with the long side towards you. We're going to take that bottom long side and fold it up to match the long side at the top of the paper. As you make your folds, you want to make sure that you make each fold very exact, or as exact as you can. And you want to make each crease really crisp. Okay. I'm going to add, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to mark the fold we just made. This is our center fold, and everything will be symmetrical around it. That means that everything will be the same on each side. So everything we do on one side, we're going to do on the other side. And that will balance our airplane. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to bring this edge that's on the right side above the line, fold it down so that it lies on that center line. Okay, and because it's symmetrical, I'm going to bring this edge on the right side below the center line up so that it lies along that center line. Those two should meet in the middle. They shouldn't overlap. Okay. Next, I'm going to take this diagonal edge that's above the center line on the right down and bring that down so that it lies along that center line. Okay. Remember, you want to make nice sharp creases. And again, because it's symmetrical, we'll do the same at this edge that's below the center line on the right. Okay? You'll notice that we're shaping our nose as we go along here, the nose of our airplane, and that it's got a really sharp point now. Okay? Now we're going to fold this plane in half along the center line. So I'm just going to fold the bottom half up so that it lies on top of the half that's on top. And then I'm just going to form my wings. So I'm going to take this edge that's at the top left and fold it down, move it down till it's at that bottom edge, and then just make a crease through my wing, okay? And because I want it to be symmetrical, I'm going to flip this over and bring this edge here up until it sits right there. And the two edges are parallel, you can see now. And I've completed my basic airplane. Okay? It's pretty cool. I can think of some things I might want to do to it, and I can't wait to test to fly it, but let's make our other two models first. Okay. The next one I'm going to fold looks a little bit more like a military plane. Okay, it has these fancy wings with these edges that are turned up. All right, and so we're going to do something like this. Again, we're going to start with our paper laid out in landscape. That means that the long edge is towards us. And we're going to fold that bottom edge up to the top edge. This time I'm using an 8.5 by 11 sheet, a full sheet. I didn't cut it in half because this plane gets much smaller as it is folded. Open it up, and I want to, again, I will mark that middle line so that you can see it. Because again, we want to make sure that everything we do is symmetrical around that line. And remember, symmetrical means that it's the same on both sides. I'm going to fold this edge that's on the right above the center line down so that it lies along that center line. And then, of course, the edge that's below the center line on the right up so that it lies along the center line. Okay. I'm going to bring this point that's at the right, which is like the nose of my plane. I'm going to fold it to the left, but not all the way to the left. I'm going to leave a little bit, maybe 3/4 to an inch. I'm going to make sure that the point is on the center line and fold it like that. Okay? I'm then going to fold this edge so that it lies along the center line. Okay, and then this bottom right edge so that it folds along the center line. You'll notice that there's a little flap of triangle that hangs out below that, below where those two meet. I'm going to fold that up and over the two flaps. All right. And then I'm going to fold my airplane in half along that center line. Make sure that your creases are nice and sharp. And then, and I'm going to turn it around because it's a little easier for me to work on it. You'll see that you've probably got, I don't know, about 4 inches here. What you're going to do is fold it so that you have about an inch under the wing. We'll flip it over and do the same thing on the other side, making sure that it's the same, and you can use one side as a model. Okay. So we now have something that looks like this, which you could try to fly and see what happens, because you know one thing that makes airplanes fly is wingspan, and you've certainly got a lot of wingspan here. To make it a little more military looking, what we're going to do is one final step, and we'll take and we'll fold up on the edge, I don't know, about a ½ inch, maybe the width of a finger, okay? And just fold that up. So you just want to fold up the edge of your wing. I hope everybody can see that, but what I've done is I've folded up the edge of the wing, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Do it about the width of your finger, okay? So that when you're finished, this is what your plane will look like from the back, all right? So you'll have these two flaps that stand up at the edges of your wings, all right? And if you want, this is a good place that you might want to put a paper clip when you test fly it to hold this nose together to see what the impact is, okay? So that's our military kind of model.